I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Che Dorena. Back in the day, being a pirate would have been boss. You just get to sail around on a boat, stab dudes while you're perpetually drunk. And you get to hide gold in a bunch of places and pick it up when you're getting ready to retire. But the downside would be getting into a cannonball fight with another boat, losing, and then being stuck in the ocean for a long time hoping you could find land before a shark eats you. Luckily, now we have the technology to look at these pirate grave sites and any other sunken ships that may have gone down, and we're gonna do it with today's list of top 10 scary sunken ships. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Don't forget to follow Most Amazing Top 10 on Instagram and Facebook. There's a ton more content over there, and it's a great way to get to know myself and the other hosts just a little bit better. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. Number 10, the COSTA CONCORDIA. Hey, we all like to show off. Maybe there's a girl watching and you want to impress her, or maybe you never resolved that deep regret of not pushing yourself harder in high school football. But sometimes you need to remember that you're at work and it's not the time to try to show off to people and show them how cool you think you are. Well, back in 2012, the captain of the COSTA CONCORDIA thought he would show everyone on the boat of an Italian cruise ship how good of a captain he was by performing a sail-by. Just so you know, this is nothing like a drive-by. Everything on boats is nicer. Like drinking and driving, bad. Drinking and boating, that's the only way you can get people on a boat. A sail-by is when you swoop in close to a landmass to take a close look. What ended up happening is the captain misjudged how close he could get and crashed into it. After this, he tried to be a hero and help everyone on the ship. Just kidding, he abandoned ship. He treated crashing into the island like hiding pieces of that broken vase when you were playing kickball inside and your mom got mad at you. He later was arrested for manslaughter and abandoning ship. Bummer. Number 9, the MS Estonia. Now here's another case of people just not really doing their job right. The MS Estonia was a smaller transport ship, used sometimes as a cruise ship but mostly as a ferry. One day it was making a pretty standard trip from Estonia to Sweden, and there was 989 people on board the boat at this time. So far so good, but the cargo on the boat hadn't been placed evenly on the boat, so the weight distribution was off. While making the cross, the MS Estonia got hit with a major storm and the ship leaned over to one side and began to flood. It was a devastating loss. Almost every person on board didn't make it. Of the 989 people who went out, only 139 were picked up by the Coast Guard. If they had just put a little more effort into their job, like move a couple boxes to the other side of the boat, this might have not been a problem. Also, I have no idea how boats work, so maybe it was a little more complicated than that. You probably shouldn't listen to me. Number 8, the SS Edmund FITZGERALD. Super fun name. The year is 1975. A big tanker is trying to cross Lake Superior. This seems like it should have been the most chill voyage ever. You're crossing a lake, you're on a big boat. It sounds like the kind of job you can do while eating a sandwich in one hand and being very hungover. But it's on this list, so you already know something went wrong. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I have no idea how this big guy sunk. There was no distress signal sent out. Maybe it was ghost pirates, or it could have been the hurricane winds and the 35-foot swells that were happening on the lake that day. Something weird about this shipwreck is Gordon Lightfoot made a song about it. Who's Gordon Lightfoot? I have no idea. Maybe he would be more famous if he wasn't writing songs about sunken ships. How about next time you write a song about drugs, sex, and violence so I have something to listen to while I'm meditating. Number 7, CARNIVAL Triumph. So this ship didn't sink, but it did get wrecked. And I had to include it on the list because it's an amazing story. So back in 2013, this cruise ship was out in the Gulf of Mexico. People were eating, drinking, partying, everyone's diet was horrible. IBS was running smoke all over this ship. It was truly a great time. Then a fire broke out in one of the engine rooms. The fire was quickly put out by the safety systems on the ship, but it damaged the ship so everything lost power. It caused the motors to stop working and sewage to back up into the passenger areas. All those margarita-fueled diarrhea squirts were all over everyone, overflowing out of the toilets, and it was coming back to haunt them. Poop was everywhere. It was also super hot. A bunch of stinky turds baking in the sun. They were stuck out there for 4 days. 4 days of of poop fumes dancing in their little nose holes. I guess you could say they had a crap time. Number 6, the MV JOOLA. Guys, we have rules for a reason. Don't run with scissors, you're gonna fall and cut yourself. Chew your food so you don't choke like a dog inhaling a bird. And when there's a capacity limit on something, maybe you should listen. The MV JOOLA was making a trip from Senegal to Dakar back in 2002, and this bad boy was 3 times over its capacity limit. You know what would happen if I got pulled over and blew into a breathalyzer 3 times over the legal limit? Well, I bet I would have had a really good night and like jail or something, I don't know. Well, the people in charge of running this boat obviously didn't care about the rules or the poor weather conditions that they were running into. They hit a storm and the ship flipped in no time. And because the weather was so bad, it took a while for rescue workers to come grab them and almost no one was recovered. Yeah, huge bummer. Number 5, the MTS OCEANOS. If you ever go on a cruise ship, don't cheap out. Also, if you run a cruise ship, please take care of it. The MTS OCEANOS was a case of neglect on several levels. First, the cruise ship was run down. This thing was littered with loose hull plates, a hole in the bulk, and some of the ship had been stripped for spare parts. This is like taking a cruise run by your buddy Kev with a 1999 Corolla and that has 1,000 water bottles in it and a garbage bag window. Don't worry man, you'll get used to the smell. On its final voyage, an explosion happened in the engine room. This is where the second level of neglect comes in. The crew couldn't fix it, so they just dipped. They didn't sound any alarms, they didn't tell passengers, they were just like, sucks to suck, and took off. After the people were left to fend for themselves, it was an entertainer on board of the boat that sent out the distress call to save everyone. I don't know who this guy is, but he's got some major big dick energy. He saved a cruise ship full of people after all hope was lost. Dude, please be my dad. Number 4, MV DONA Paz. This is a situation of bad thing after another bad thing. The MV DONA Paz was a ferry going through some transport waters in the Philippines. It was filled to the brim with passengers. This was a night voyage, so visibility was really poor. So poor that they didn't see the oil tanker coming right at them that they collided with. The MT Vector oil tanker crashed right into the Dona. This was a brutal crash, injuring many of the people on board of both ships. The oil inside the MT Vector caused a fire, and there were now burning ships on both ends, and oil spread into the water and literally burning oil on top of the water. People tried to save themselves by jumping into the water, but between the two ships, only 26 people survived. It was bad. Number 3, the USS Arizona. On December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy. When you listen to the old recording of that broadcast, it sounds like Palpatine. I wonder if when the Americans made the decision to join the war, someone in the back was like, do it, America. The sinking of the USS Arizona is of course one of the most famous of all time. It was an attack from the Japanese on the Americans, which brought the Americans into World War II. It was a major tragedy, and only 1/3 of the ship's crew ended up making it out alive. There's a memorial site at the sunken site to remember what happened that day. I don't know much about history, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it was a bad move to attack Pearl Harbor. It eventually led to the dropping of 2 atomic bombs, the most powerful bombs on the planet at that time. You could have said that those bombs had unlimited power. Number 2, the Titanic. What can I tell you about this boat that you don't already know? Leonardo DiCaprio fell in love on it, he banged some chick in a car, and then he died of hypothermia. The end. I just saved you 7 hours or however long that movie is. Trust me, you don't want to waste your time watching that movie. An extended cut of Avengers Endgame just got announced, and it's way more worth it. Well, for those of you that don't know, the Titanic was supposed to be a marvel of technology and thought to be completely unsinkable. They were so confident in the boat's ability that there wasn't enough lifeboats and there was no safety briefing given out to the passengers beforehand. The ship then smashed into an iceberg, and some dude fell into a propeller, and then a bunch of rich people froze to death. The end. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but they built a second Titanic that's going on the same route as the original boat. At least this time when it sinks, I get to watch the whole thing happen on Instagram Live. Number 1, WILHELM GUSTLOFF. The sinking of the WILHELM GUSTLOFF was a major tragedy. It was the most lives lost in the sinking of a boat ever. over 9,000 people died. It was back in 1945 when this boat was making its trip across Baltic waters. And I want everyone to understand that everyone on this boat was a civilian. There was no weapons, the ship wasn't smuggling anything, there was no secrets to be had on this boat. It was about halfway through its voyage when the WILHELM GUSTLOFF was attacked by Soviet military. The Soviet battleship shot 3 torpedoes at the vessel, causing it to sink immediately. People were thrown from the ship just based on the force of the impact, but it wasn't the weapons that would be these people's fate, but the negative temperatures. Many people on board died from the freezing cold waters. Well everyone, that's our list. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also make sure you check out Most Amazing Top 10 on Facebook, Instagram, and all social media platforms. It's a great way to get to know myself and the other hosts just a little bit better. Until next time, I've been COSTA, and you won't catch me on a boat anytime soon. Bye!